Welcome, welcome back, everyone, to another Real Life with Izzy podcast. This is episode 2. You already know what's going on, everybody. It's your boy. I'm your host, Izzy, and today we have an amazing special guest for you guys. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you for everyone tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Give us a follow. Make sure you share. All right. And last but not least, make sure you show some love in the comment section, all right? And lastly, grab some snacks, all right? Chill out, hold one, grab a cold one, you feel me? And let's get into some real life, all right? So today, we have a really special guest. My man's back from Cusstown, all right? He started off being a producer, right? He was a producer for a couple of years. He was laying it down on there, and then he was like, you know what? We're going to switch it up real quick. So then he got into, adding lyrics onto the beats he was creating and started producing a lot more. Then he moved into being an artist. So now he's a full-blown artist. Just surpassed 1K followers on Spotify. I believe it was in June, and still climbing. All right, currently working on an album for y'all, so let's give a warm welcome to my man OYRAH. What's going on, everybody?
How you doing, yo? Thank you so much for having me on, man. Yo, it feels great, bro. I'm excited, and yeah, I'm really excited to be on here, bro. I love what you're doing with the show, and episode 2, let's get it.
I appreciate it. Well, we want to thank you for being part of this build. We are just getting started. This is only the beginning, but we're still gonna make a huge impact. So I appreciate you coming on here and getting ready to tell your hero's journey, man. I feel like a lot of people can relate to you and learn something from your own experience and where you plan on going. Because I'm excited to hear what you got coming up. I'm excited to hear the obstacles you overcame. I'm excited to hear all of the above. So I appreciate you, but with that all being said, let's get into it. Yeah. All right. First of all, how was your day though?
Yo, I'll say today was pretty chill, yo. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm a guy that usually works a lot. Even outside of music, like I tend to just do a lot in my everyday life. So when I do have a free day, I make sure that I'm still using the time effectively, obviously, but just taking that downtime to just like chill and whatnot. I hit the gym earlier and shit.
Okay.
I mean, just chill vibes. You know what I mean? I was really looking forward to this though. I was looking for this all day.
When you hit the gym, what's your go-to? Am I putting you on the spot?
Not even no, honestly not. I usually try to stick with so like obviously like most other people like you focus on certain areas like on a particular day, but I usually always start off doing cardio on the treadmill, like always.
Okay.
Like energy going and whatnot.
Okay, I like it.
Calm 10-15.
What happened?
Got like a calm 10-15 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I like it. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm curious. I'm curious.
Yeah.
At first, you were off early in your career, starting off producing beats, right? You were a full blown producer.
Years.
What was the jump start into producing beats, and then how did you get into adding lyrics to those beats, and how did that transfer into converting into the artist you are today?
Yeah. So you know what? It's crazy, man. I was started making beats back like around like middle schoolish times, like 8th grade, 7th grade ish, and yeah, bro. I just remember like I was really heavy into that for the longest time, and even entering into Kutztown, obviously too. Like I was still producing and whatnot, and I feel like in some ways, like college kind of like hampered my passion as far as just like making beats.
Yeah.
But I just remember, but specifically though, during the pandemic, I don't know what it was. Like I think at that point, I just completely like just lost the passion for it, yo. And I knew that I didn't want to force it. Like it was about that time, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, fine, cool. I'm not gonna force it, this, that, and the third. But it was also a weird time because I knew I wasn't trying to make beats anymore, but I also didn't have something to replace that either. So it was a really weird period for me. And then I think at that time too, a lot of people really knew me primarily as a producer. That's like a part of my identity too. So you still like, I'm still running into people and they're like, oh, like,
Where
why
you
or what are you doing? This, that, and the third, or like a lot of people didn't even believe me for real. Like just as far as like, oh nah, you're not gonna stop. Like you're not gonna.
Were you making
What are you
beats for
talking
other
about?
people at
Oh
this point?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
Okay.
I started off doing it for free. I sold some beats here and there during my time, and I think honestly, with you bringing that up, that was like another thing that kind of I don't know, man. Like some artists are easy to work with. Some artists make it like really frustrating. You know what I mean? And I feel like that even contributed in a sense too as well. But then by the end of 2020 though, like kind of towards like the aftermath of like the lockdown aspect of the pandemic, I met my recording engineer who I still work with now, Nate Cobain. And I remember I went there with two other artists I work with now, Cozy Clyde and Sav, and I just went to their session just to like see what's up, just to like catch the vibe and whatnot. Because I wasn't even making music anymore at that point. But I met Nate and I was like, yo, this dude is nice. Like I ain't gonna hold you. He has his own studio and everything. I was like, this man got some motion and whatnot. And even back when I was producing, like I would write raps here and there, but I didn't really care about it enough to like pursue like a career into rapping and like even like remember like I remember like when SoundCloud first came out and it's like everybody was trying to be a rapper and whatnot. I was what I mean? Like to a certain extent, I thought that shit was kind of corny, like to an extent. So I was like, I'm not gonna hop on it, you know what I mean?
Being a SoundCloud rapper.
Like not necessarily like yeah, but like not even the idea of it, because obviously you know what I mean, like do your thing, follow your dreams and whatnot. But I remember when it was like a trend, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
when that
No,
shit
I get
first
you.
came
Yeah.
out.
No, I got you.
So like to me, like I like the thought of rapping didn't even cross my mind at that point because I was like that shit, like nah, hell no, I'm about to just make these beats, like whatnot, you know what I mean? So, but after going to the studio for the first time though, I was like, nah, like this shit kind of cool, let me record something for fun, and I made my first song ever, called 500 Degrees, and I just made it on some random shit just for fun and whatnot, and I remember I put it out. And I wasn't necessarily surprised because I knew it wasn't bad. Like I knew like obviously like I'm not gonna sit here and record some trash shit. You know what I mean? But I was surprised, like niggas was really fucking with it. You know what I mean? So I was just like, all right, word. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep going, and it went from like becoming my new hobby to like, all right, nah, I think I'm gonna actually like really start getting into music seriously again.
Okay. Nice, nice. So when that first studio session, like what goes on? Like is it like you and the producer like just throwing back like, nah, I like this, I want this high pitch or this, I
Yeah,
like how like what's the structure like when making a soundtrack? Like how like what's that process? Like the first time ever going into a studio, like
right. So I would say that very first session, I remember like me going into it, like prior to even getting there, I was like, all right, yeah, I have like my own background in music, but it's my first time rapping. You know what I mean? I had never recorded
yeah,
myself. So no matter what, I went into it with the idea already knowing that, like, all right, the engineer, like, I'm gonna trust his opinion no matter what. Like, regardless of anything, I'm gonna trust his opinion. I had the beat itself I had found. It wasn't when I produced actually, I had found it online and I remember I sent it to him and whatnot. We started the session off, what I'm saying, rolled up, you know what I mean, got the vibes right. And I think it's really important too, like, even if you're an artist right now too that's listening, like, I feel like it's really cool if you have the time to do it during your sessions to like really like, even if it's not like locking in with like your producer or engineer, just like kind of like breaking the ice, even if it's like the first time too, like just breaking the ice, getting to know them a little bit more. Cause prior to that, it was my first time. I didn't really know him like that. Now we're like best friends. You know what I
mm,
mean? So and then I remember like the actual recording process itself. I remember I went in the booth and the studio that happened that was really interesting because I don't know, like I'm sure you've probably seen like in clips and whatnot if you've been to a studio, like a lot of times it'll be like the room that everybody's in and whatnot, handling the equipment, and then there's like the booth, but there's usually like some type of glass, whatever you can see inside of it.
mhm,
This one didn't have that, so you'd go in the booth and it was like closed off, and I think it helped in a lot of ways too because it kind of like obviously you always gonna be like a little nervous, but the fact that like okay, I'm in here and like nobody can see me in here doing what I'm doing. Like they can hear me and shit, but nobody can see me. So it's like you can really kind of just like fully express yourself in a way. You
mm,
know what I mean? So I remember I laid it down. You know what I'm saying? Just two verses. did both verses back to back. It took a minute to like actually get it laid down because it's awkward hearing yourself at first, like especially if you
Mhm.
never recorded before, and it's like what you think you gonna sound like versus how you actually sound. 9 times out of 10 gonna be completely different. But it took a little minute. You know what I'm saying? I got the vocals laid down, and then I remember I asked him what he thought, and he was like, "All right, this is nice. This is nice. Do you want to add any layers?" And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, damn, like I never like that's something that didn't even
What's
cross
a
my
what's
mind.
what's what's a layer for those who know or for those who don't know?
Yeah, so essentially like some artists, like for example, I know Travis Scott uses a lot of layering. Like
Okay.
they'll record, let's just say like they record their verse and then they'll just do like a regular like main take or whatever. Then they'll go over and then record vocals over that same thing that they just recorded,
Mm,
like layer their vocals and like stack them in a way.
okay. All right.
I think Kid Cudi does it a lot too. Kendrick be doing it sometimes as well. Um,
Okay.
and that was his suggestion, and I was like, you know what? I never thought about that. I'm gonna just try it. Like, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. And yeah, same thing too.
All
Like I did that, and then he kind of, honestly, he kind of like walked me through
right.
like how to record the song because I remember I did the layer, and I was like, all right, what do you think?
Did he make the beat?
No, actually, no. It was just like a random one I found online because at that point I was just trying to have
Oh,
fun with it too. So I was like,
yeah.
all right, like just find something, whatever. Like I'm not even trying to take the song seriously at the time. And but yeah, I remember like I put the layer down and then I was like, all right, what do you think? He was like, oh yeah, this sound pretty good, sounding pretty good. Do you want to add ad libs? And I'm like, shit. I ain't even think about that. Like, fuck it, let's do some ad libs. Let's do it. You know what I mean? And
Start
pretty
throwing some abs in there like Mimigos, yeah.
type shit. Exactly.
Mama.
And nowadays too, whenever I record now, like I usually have them planned out like ahead of time, or like when I'm writing lyrics, like I'll even write the ad libs in. But I wasn't prepared at the time, so he said that I was like, I bet, like I'll do some ad libs. I'm just doing random, like just random ass, like whatever I think
Well,
fits.
so you go back and make the atlas. So it's like after
Yeah,
the song's created, like you'll go back in there, and then is that considered a layer then, or is that?
yes, yes,
Oh, all right, dope.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So it's I'd say for me, like nowadays, like I kind of treat the recording process like it's kind of like a science lab in a way, honestly, because
Mm,
I'm an artist. Like I like to use layers. I use a lot of layers. So for me, it's always a matter of like, I bet I just recorded this. Then maybe I'll do like a different layer of that same lyrics, but
yeah.
in a deeper voice. Then I
Okay.
might stack those, do another one in like a higher, and just like kind of mix and match, see what fits. Maybe I add something, and then, after a while it don't sound right. I take it out and whatnot. That's like my process and whatnot. Just really experimenting with it.
Okay. Okay. Nice. So to kind of hit on that, right? Because you said that you didn't choose your first beat. So you just went on. You chose a random beat that you picked off of SoundCloud.
YouTube, but yeah, same idea, same idea.
So when producing a beat or creating a song, are you looking for symbolization? Are you looking for the melody? Like, how do you determine I like this beat or I like this lyric
Mm,
to go with this beat? Are you looking for the melody? How it sounds together, or are you looking for the way you want the song to portray?
yeah, so what's interesting? It's changed for me over time as far as like that approach to it. I'd say before, like when I was first starting off, I would try to find a beat first, and then and when searching for the instrumental, like trying to find like, okay, what does this instrumental sound like, or what does this melody sound like emotionally? Like, what kind of emotion or energy am I getting from the music itself?
Right.
And then from there, just trying to find lyrics that match it.
Okay.
Whereas, like, I don't know, I think somewhere during like 2021, like my whole approach flipped to where nowadays I tend to write my lyrics first
Mm,
and then find a beat later, which is interesting.
mm.
I've realized a lot of people don't do that.
So nowadays it's the reverse way. So most
Yeah,
people pick a beat, then create their lyrics to go to it.
I be doing the opposite. Complete
Okay.
opposite.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
So when after you're done writing your lyrics, right? You
yeah,
have the way you So when you're writing the lyrics, is it the way you envision saying it, or is it the way you envision it on, a certain type of beat, and then you go through it to what you like, and then you pick
How I envision saying it.
it? Okay.
I envision
Okay.
saying it.
Nice. All
Yeah.
right.
And I say it comes with its own pros and cons. Like I'd say, and over time, like earlier on, I've noticed that when I first started doing that, sometimes like since I'm writing the lyrics and like I have a flow in mind and whatnot, but then I'm finding a beat for the flow,
Yeah.
or I'm like adjusting the flow to the beat itself. Like sometimes you could run into issues to where it's like it may sound like, for example, like let's just say you write like a whole song with like a specific flow in mind, and then you find a beat that you think will fit it, but then sometimes it might fit too well to the beat and it sounds kind of robotic because of that. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
okay.
Or, you know, I don't know, or even just honestly, even just having lyrics that, I'll write and I'll be like, damn, I like these a lot. But then like I struggle finding like a beat that fits it. And it's like, yo. So it comes with its own like pros and cons. But I think one of the pros that I like about it, sometimes I feel like when people find a beat first and they write to it, it can like not that it can limit you, but in certain ways, yeah. Because like, for example, if you're looking up like, oh, I want to rap on a Drake type beat, subconsciously you might try to rap like Drake versus like being yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'd also say too, for me, when it comes to like writing first, I like how like it's easier for me to come up with lyrics and just like flow, like just let it all flow and connect and whatnot, and just make it more continuous. You know what I mean? Because at that point, it's kind of like poetry in a way.
Mm, it's like poetry. I like that because if you go back and ask most people, what's your favorite artist, blah 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 blah, but like I like or if I well all right, let's say if I go back and ask my uncle, right,
Right.
or my dad because they're a bit on the older side.
Yeah,
They're
older
like,
generation.
I like Tupac or I like Biggie or I like Snoop Dogg or all the old school classics because of one thing, it's the poetry.
Right. Right.
It's the what the words mean, what the words signify. So when you're writing down your lyrics, is that are you thinking about what your words signify? What the message you want to portray. What's the message when you go down and you're writing your lyrics and you feel like the you have your song, right? You
Yeah.
have what you envision. You have is it what's the message behind? Is it the same message? Is it a different message each time? What's that uh i- image like?
Yeah. I would say so. I definitely would say that it definitely varies, like with each song, like depending on the type of song. But I'd say the overall goal, no matter what, that's like common in each song,
Mm,
is just conveying a feeling or emotion like of mine. Whether it's like something I'm feeling now, whether it's something I felt, or sometimes I might even be trying to like just write from a perspective. You know what I mean? I have certain songs where like I'm not even really writing about any of that, and it's just a matter of like, oh, this is like a theme that I think is cool. Let me like try to make something off of that. So I'd say it always varies, but the overall goal is always trying to make something that people can both either relate to and or feel. You know what I mean? I feel
mm.
like those are things that are really important to me. As long as you're feeling something from what I'm writing, that's like a main thing for me. And then I would say whenever I try to do like deeper, more introspective stuff, I'd say my main goal is always trying to have it be relatable.
So you're really looking for that emotional connection from
Yeah.
the words you put on the piece of paper, those lines, the words you envision to the way it connects to your audience. You want that
Yeah.
emotional
Yeah,
connection.
like if you felt something while listening to it, then to me, like I'm satisfied. I'm
Nice.
satisfied.
Yeah. Right. Nice. Nice. Bro, that's awesome. That's amazing. And to hear that every song that you drop is basically like a new story.
Yo, honestly, yeah. Or if not that, like pieces of a continuous story.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta keep going back and then like get because it's like a cliffhanger, you know. It's like
Yeah.
you drop a song, you're telling a piece of a story, and then it stops, and then you drop another song that has nothing to do with that, and then you drop the song like right after that one that has to do with the first song, and
Yeah.
a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
You gotta keep going back. It's like
yeah, like
poetry.
I be telling people a lot, like, if somebody doesn't know me personally, you can learn a lot about me just off of listening to my music, honestly.
Mm,
It don't even gotta be because, like, because I have songs where I'm, like, very personal or, like, trying to be deep and stuff, but even the stuff where I'm having fun, like, I always try to make sure that I keep it authentic to myself and I inject myself into what I'm writing.
mm,
I'm really big on, like, I don't really lie in, like, my lyrics and stuff, like, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about something that I'm not actually doing for the most part or that I haven't done, and it's for that reason, you know what I mean? It's also fun for me because you get a lot of niggas out here that be faking it, and it's like, it can work, but also to a certain extent, like, how long can it really work? Because at some point, you're gonna be put in a situation where, like, the mask's gonna have to come off and you're gonna have to be yourself, you know? So if you have a mask on your whole career and you're talking about this, that, and the third and whatnot, I say for example, like I feel like there's a lot of heads because of like the current climate of hip hop. I
yeah.
feel like there's a lot of heads that be rapping about like sliding and drills and shit, and it's like they don't do that, and it's like, bro, that shit's gonna catch up to you in one way or another, and your fans are gonna find out, and then niggas not gonna want to support you,
Mm,
like
mm,
So I just rather be myself for real.
yep. Yep. Nah, I definitely agree with that. And sometimes it works in their favor, and then sometimes it doesn't work in their favor.
Yeah,
It's all if you want to portray a different image, then that's not you. Then by all means, no one's gonna say
right.
stop. It's what you want to do. So but by all means, but at the end of the day, it's not yourself.
Exactly. You know
You
what I
know,
mean?
so,
And I'll even add too, like you said, like, what I'm saying, everybody, free game, you know what I mean? Do whatever you want. And I also can't judge somebody too, like, if making music is your ends and means, like, by all means, if that's what you need to do it, like, do it. You know what I mean? Cause and also too, like, if you're making good music too, like, by all means, like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I just know me, myself personally, I know that that's not what I'm trying to do. And I know that my audience appreciates me because of that.
hmm So what's one message that you want to leave that you feel like your career symbolizes? Like what's one? I know you probably have a dozen, right? After, you've been going at this for a little bit, and every
Yeah.
like you said, every song you drop is another story. It's another it's another realm. It's another way to learn more information. It's another way to get away. It's another. Every
Yeah.
song is something new. It provides some feeling that's new. So what's one message that somebody who's just tuning in that's first time, like what's one message that you want them to get?
Man, I would just say, like you said, like it's probably like a lot of things I could say, but I'd say like primarily just the message I would primarily say just be yourself, yo. Like you know what I mean? Both like being yourself and being original, but being original comes with being yourself. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And that's one of the few things even outside of music that like nobody can take away from you and it's gonna take you the farthest. You know what I mean?
mm.
Yeah, I
Okay,
would
so
say that. And I will say too, I do think it comes across in my music very well as well.
you did kind of skid out there a little bit. I just want you to know that. All
Okay.
right, all right, all right. So everybody who's viewing, once again, I appreciate everybody who has tuned in.
Shout out
Thank
my
you.
guy Redbeard.
All right. If he cuts out by any means necessary, we will get him back. I promise. All right. I promise. I'll do everything in my power to get him back. All right. All right. But congratulations on everything you have achieved so far, and congratulations on 1K followers on Spotify. That
Thank
is a
you.
big accomplishment, and I know there's so much more to come, right? And as time elapses, and your career is just continuing on, and you are going and going and going, right? What are three obstacles that you have that have sustained you from achieving a set goal, and how have you dealt with those goals or obstacles? Pardon.
That's a great question, actually. That's actually a great question. I'd say one of the main things, I don't even want to say resources, but anybody that is an artist that may even be listening to this, like, can probably relate to the standpoint of just like resources, making sure that you have obviously with putting the art out there, like you're gonna gain revenue and whatnot from like the stuff you're putting out there, but overall, like you gotta fund yourself and you gotta really be a self-starter. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna give you a handout. And nobody should expect that either. You know what I mean? So I would say that's one of the biggest things, just making sure that, you stay on point. If I need a budget for something, make sure I have the budget and resources. I'd say number two, probably just getting new people to take you seriously. You know what I mean? And that just comes with making building a fan base. It's definitely easier said than done. But I think that comes with just like moving professionally. And I carry myself professionally. I feel like that helps me a lot. Where you get a lot of people that say they want to make music, but their actions don't really represent that, and then it's harder to build a fan base like that because you know what I mean. Like your image isn't on point,
Right.
the quality is not on point. You're not putting any money behind your stuff. Like you got to, you know what I mean. You got to really treat yourself like obviously the art is the art, and it's never that it's not gonna be the art, but to a certain extent, especially nowadays, like if you're trying to be a full-time musician, you also gotta think about yourself as a brand. You know,
Mm,
like, I'm Oryah the musician, but I'm also Oryah a brand. You know what I mean? Even if it's not like a business, like it's still,
yes.
how you carry yourself. And I think that even goes outside of music too. Like everybody is their own personal brand in one way or another.
Right. How you represent yourself every single day.
Yeah,
That's basically your brand. Even if you don't have a brand, right? Even if you don't have a business, anything like that, how you represent yourself every single day is your own brand, whether you know it or not.
yeah.
Right?
Everyone has a personal brand.
Exactly. You could go out to the store. You could go out play basketball. You could go out to the studio. You could go out hit the field. You could go to the classroom. You could go grab your Starbucks. You know, people are watching you, whether
Right.
whether you're paying attention to it or not. People watch you. People watch how you carry yourself. People watch how you dress. People watch. Yes, it's not. People like to judge, but they don't know really who you are, but they see an emblem. They see
Exactly.
an image, the brand. How do you represent yourself every single day? That's
Exactly.
that's something a lot of people kind of forget. That's that. I feel like if a lot of people were in that mentality of I'm a brand, like me, even though I don't own an LLC, even if I don't own a business, if I don't have any of that, I have no clue what that is. Myself, I'm a brand.
Exactly.
How I carry myself, what I do day by day, how I eat, how I exercise, how I study, how I read, how
All of
I it's all plays into your brand, you
it.
know,
Yeah.
and you touched on it. So what does your brand signify?
I think, going back to my message, definitely originality for sure.
Mm,
I would also say too, just I think I embody being a creative. I feel like I really do. You know what I mean? Every step of the way. Even just again, like between producing, stopping that, rapping, still doing that. I used to do journalism and whatnot. You know what I mean? Just always, you know what I mean? I feel like I represent originality. I feel like I represent creativity. And then even, I think another thing too that people kind of overthink as far as brands. Another thing that builds your brand is also your own interest. You know what I mean? Like I feel like,
your niche.
exactly your own niche. Like I feel like hip hop's a part of my brand. I feel like I'm really big into like anime. I'm sure you probably can tell too, like from some of my songs and stuff. Like
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like anime and shit. I consider that a part of my brand. Um, it's a lot, man. I think some people really do overthink the word itself because I think the first thing you think of is like, okay, this business, this company, this that. You know what I mean? But it's also again like even let's just say like I don't necessarily like I'm not like a big fashion person. I don't have like a go-to brand of clothing that I wear.
Mm,
But sometimes you can even make another brand a part of your brand as far as like if you're the nigga that fucks with Nike heavy as fuck, niggas gonna know you as the Nike. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. Like it's like small. It doesn't seem like it's important, but like you said, like it and I guess too, like in an ideal world, like should how you're perceived and present yourself matter? Like in an ideal just world? Probably not. But it's not the world we live in though. Like you know what I mean? And you
true.
gotta be
Not,
self-aware of that.
yeah.
That also doesn't mean that you have to be a follower and you don't have to like build a personal brand based off of other shit. Like you can just be yourself, like I said, you know what I mean? And I feel like as long as you're confident in it and you're not afraid to be yourself and you have an understanding of yourself, that can take you far in life.
Mm, mm. I find it interesting because the way you said your brand represents creativity, the way you say your brand represents originality, which is what we need, right? Because, like you said, there's a lot of people who are portraying a different image out there who want to put
Too many.
exactly. There's too many. There's way too many nowadays. It's insane, right?
Yeah.
And it blows my mind the way people gravitate towards those things. But can you kind of speak on how you found your creativity and originality? Because I know on your Hustler Times interview you mentioned, and I actually did know this, that you were born in Brooklyn,
Yes.
and then you moved to Pennsylvania at an early stage in your life, and you spent majority of your life there. Can you explain how that culture of where you grew up, how the culture, of finding yourself, finding the creativity that made you to who you are today, how did that play a factor into your life? Your parents, the way you grew up, your culture, moving from Brooklyn
Yeah.
to Pennsylvania, because that's a big change. You
Big
know,
change.
so how did that play a factor into your brand to where who you are today?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, bro, like a lot, man. Like you said, like I was like, as you mentioned, like I was born in Brooklyn and whatnot. I moved to PA at an early age, but between like my dad working out there and stuff like that and just having family out in New York, like I was always kind of back and forth, you know what I'm saying, moving back and forth or just, moving around back and forth. And it really is interesting too, like just like the not like the culture shock, but just like, you know what I mean? Like being in PA where it's like, I you know, keep it 100. Like again, very blunt, hella white people, not a lot of people that look like me at the time and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? And then especially too, because I went to school primarily out here. So just again, like that's kind of like, there's that element of it, but then
Yeah.
going on the complete opposite end of like, okay, bet, but then I'm still going to East Flatbush, I'm still in Brooklyn or whatnot, and still getting a taste of my culture and just hip hop culture in general, whether it's like listening to the radio and whatnot. I feel like that really definitely shaped the foundation of who I am now too. Because I know I say this too. A lot of people don't know this. Before I got heavy into hip hop, I was really like, I was fucking with like rock and metal and shit. Like no funny shit. Like, heavy as fuck, bro. Heavy as fuck for like a good like year or two and whatnot. And I think I mainly from that genre itself, I really like the energy that a lot of them artists like give off um,
Right.
emotionally with their music. And I'd say I kind of started venturing out of that lane during puberty because at that point, you know what I mean, when you're a young guy and you start hitting that age, it's like, all right, you're becoming. That's like the first steps of becoming a young man, and you always want to. At least for me, like I like listening to people I can relate to. So after
Mhm.
a certain extent, as I'm getting older, I can't really relate to them bands and stuff like that. I can relate to a lot of rappers, you know what I mean? Just off of like looking like me, similar experiences and whatnot. So that kind of transitioned me, getting into hip hop heavily. But I think my roots in like metal and stuff never really went away. And in some ways, I think that again, like, making sure that I'm always conveying some type of feeling in my music, whether it's like vocally or lyrically. I still will give like rock the credit for that. And again, just having like both sides of the culture, like on one hand, like I bet city lifestyle, urban lifestyle, more diversity and whatnot in New York. But then PA where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's safer and whatnot.
I said it's safer or whatnot.
You know what I mean? But it's like, but then it's like again, like, it's mad, you know what I mean? And then also too, you still face different types of problems when it's like, for
Right.
example, like being in the city, like depending on where you're at, you know what I mean? Like you still got, you gotta be aware of your safety, your surroundings and whatnot. Anything can happen to anybody at any point in time. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You can't control that.
Yes.
And a lot of people I think too, like they'll move from like a place like that to like the suburbs or like just a white area and be like, oh, okay, bet, you know, shit about to be cool because you escape that immediate physical like danger.
Yeah.
And I'll also say too, like growing up and then going to like when I was in school, like going to like a predominantly white school, you face a lot of like psychological things. I feel like even though it sound like it don't sound like it's the same, but it's like again, like whether it's like again, like dealing and experiencing racism firsthand and stuff like that. Also, I feel like really shaped me into who I am today too. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm somebody that I don't know. I don't really like judge people like that. I'm pretty open. You know what I mean? I feel like I have a pretty diverse group of people around me too, and it's obviously again like there's societal things that we have our own differences. Everybody has, you know what I mean, and everybody should embrace their own culture as well.
Yeah,
But to a certain extent, like we also all gotta accept the fact that outside of race and like that being a thing that like differentiates us, like we're all the same. You know what I mean? We're not all treated the same, and it's not we're all the same in the system, but at everybody's core, we're all humans. You know what I mean? So I would say too, like again, that's why I feel like it's really important that I feel like it was important that I had like experienced both. You know what I mean? One or the other,
both
because
sides, right?
just having different perspectives on life and
Yeah,
just being around different types of people and having different types of experiences in both extremes.
yeah. I would have to agree with that. If I like at a young age, moving from your home state, obviously you don't have a say, so
Right.
you just you just went, your parents took you like we're going,
We're going.
you're like all right, let's go, I guess I'm leaving everything behind me. I'm leaving my school, my friends. Okay, cool, let's go. So at that point, you're taking somebody who's comfortable in an environment and putting them in something that's different,
Right.
and that helps you see both sides. It helps you see both
Exactly.
perspectives of life.
Exactly.
And I could 100% agree with him because that I moved to Florida like two and a half years ago, almost now. It's
That's
and
crazy.
I've
Yeah.
been in Pennsylvania my whole life. I lived in Pennsylvania my whole life. The only other time I've been outside of Pennsylvania was to go to basic training in AIT, which was in Georgia, and that was for
Wow.
2 summers. So a total of 5 to 6 months. So that was the only time I've really been away from home
Yeah.
that long until I moved to Florida. I moved to Florida in the year of 2022. So I was just turning 22. After turning 21, I just got my house in Cutstown. With my brother Gabe, with my brother Donald, and my other roommates. My sister Soleil, and my other
Yeah.
roommates. We had our house. So I went from that, and then I had to give everything up. I
Mhm.
legit gave everything up. I had my own car. I had my house. I had my boys. We were up in Custom. We were
Right.
having a good time.
Yeah. You're comfortable. You know what I mean? You built a home.
Yes, we were comfortable and we were enjoying ourselves to the fullest, man. And I didn't know how much on life I was missing out until I moved,
Yeah.
and
And,
that's
and
100%.
yeah, and you know what too? I like that you said that because I think, and that's why I always encourage people to travel too. Like even me myself, I wasn't really big on like leaving the tri-state that much, honestly.
Mm,
And I don't know, something again, like something about the pandemic kind of sparked it. Like I started traveling a lot more during and after, and just again, it seems like such a small thing, but I feel like just and then like, also too, like you said, because it's not even just traveling, like moving and like
yeah,
leaving things like again, like these connections that you build,
yeah.
this lifestyle that you built and whatnot, and everything that you know. And I'm sure it's probably very uncomfortable at first, but sometimes you need that to grow
Mm,
as
yes,
well.
yes, yes. There's it's there's people who portray that image on a daily basis, and then like you said, there's people who portray a different image that they want people to see because they believe it's trending, it's viral, it's popular.
Yeah,
And the reason for this podcast is because I want to portray that bright image, the right image. That's what I want to portray. That is my brand.
right.
That's me. I also have another brand for fitness. It's called Faded Paradise Fitness. That's it,
Which
it's
y'all should check out, by the way. Y'all should check out.
its motto is your fitness is your paradise. It's what you want it to be because over the years, especially in the fitness industry, in the music industry, people portray a certain image.
Yep.
People portray a
Yep.
certain image that's not really them. And
Especially in the honestly, especially in the fitness industry too. You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong
yes,
about
yes, and it's at the end of the day, you could try so hard to portray that image, but it's gonna be even harder to maintain that fake image
that. Yeah.
Because now you got to go day by day on the image that's not yourself. So now it's like you got to wake up, put on a face mask,
Yep.
and then walk outside the door.
Yeah, or you see some people that because you can't escape it and they're trying to keep it up. Sometimes people then get lost, and then the mask becomes them.
Yes,
and it's like,
yeah,
oh my
and then
god,
they lose the sense of who they are.
exactly.
It's like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. All right, I haven't watched Star Wars in a long time, but
Yeah.
but you guys get the image, okay? It's it's there. All right. If you want to watch it, I recommend you go back and watch it, and then you'll get what I just said. Okay. All right. But you also kind of mentioned that growing up, you had influential artists that you used to listen to.
Oh my god,
So,
yeah.
obviously, growing up in New York, growing up in Brooklyn, that's a big thing. Rap is a big thing.
Yeah, man. Oh my god.
Today, it's a big thing. Shout out A Boogie, by the way. I'm a big fan, yo. If you're watching this,
High Bridge.
High Bridge, the label, all day, every day. But growing up in Brooklyn and then moving to Pennsylvania, what were your three most influential artists?
You know what's crazy too? Because I'll say another thing that's pretty cool. Like I feel like I've never been like geographically locked in as far as like I've only listened to East Coast shit and whatnot. I feel like most of my favorite rappers honestly aren't even from the East Coast for real. But even then, with that being said, like you said, like hip hop itself though is very, New York's the birthplace of hip hop. You know what I mean? So that shit was very prevalent, and it was also always interesting seeing too, because then sometimes you see what gets hot in the cities first, and then everywhere else gets it later. So there'd be shit where it's like it got popular in New York, and then niggas is getting on it now, and I'm like, yo, y'all late. Like, what the heck? But I say myself personally, I'd say like top 3 artists for me personally, especially at like a pivotal time. You know what? Actually, I'm not even gonna word it like that. I'm not even gonna say top 3, but like 3 artists that were very important for who I am today. Like folk music, just in general.
All-time
Little Wayne, bro.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'd say like he was like back when I was on like my rock metal shit. Like he was probably the rapper that pulled me out of that. As far as like, I don't know, bro. And also too, growing up, I had dreads too. So just like really being able to like identify, yeah, bro, like long ass like Rasta. My dad was a Rasta, so like I just, you know what I mean.
Here.
like bro, Wayne was so big to where it was like, bro, you couldn't avoid him, and like to being able to see somebody that I could like literally identify with in a lot of ways, like both just physically and just in general, it's like I bet. And that bro, niggas need to get Wayne his bro. Wayne, when he was, bro, I feel like he was like on top of the world for like a solid like 4 or 5 years straight, bro. Like
longer than that. Whoa,
yeah.
longer than that.
Longer than that, bro. Like I mean, like at the top. I mean, like at the top.
Yeah,
like,
he dropped
Carter 2,
Carter 3, Carter 4.
Yeah, bro.
He was dropping on
back to back. Like, oh my, bro. And then he would, bro. This nigga would remix everybody's song, and then make you forget about the original person's song. Like that shit is dumb, bro. Like how, like. Bro, what, bro? I don't think I've ever listened, like, that Swag Surf song?
I swag. I surf.
Bro, I listened to the Wayne one, like, I don't even, sometimes I forget that that's not his original song, honestly. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, definitely Lil Wayne. And again, this is me like casually listening to hip hop, like getting into music or whatnot. But this was the age where like I started really like defining my taste and getting heavy into music. So it was Wayne, but then I remember when Kendrick came out, Kendrick Lamar. Bro, and he's still my favorite artist, like all time. But I remember specifically with him, all time. Yeah, man.
I like it. I respect it.
Yeah, he's just like, man, he's just one of one, man. And I feel like there's not a lot of people that can like check all the boxes that he does, as far as like he can still make the commercial hits and stuff, but then he can also give you the commentary. But then he can, like, I don't know, he's very versatile, and I also give him a lot of credit too, because since he was on more like the lyrical side, that got me more into like that side of rap, as well as like getting back into like the old school stuff. I don't know if I would have gotten into like people like Tupac and like Biggie and stuff if I didn't get into Kendrick first.
Mm.
You know, so I would say them two.
So we got Lil Wayne, we got Kendrick, right?
Mm,
What's the exclamation point? What's the icing
you know what? This is hard, bro. I'm not gonna lie, because there's two people I want to say. That's really hard. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna say there's this dude from Tennessee. I don't know if you'd be familiar, but Isaiah Rashad.
I've heard of him before.
You
Yes,
heard of him
I
before,
have. Yep, I have.
bro. I mess with him. I mess with him heavy because his style and like cadence and like aesthetic kind of fits me in a lot of ways. As far as like he kind of like his music's very like chill, laid back, like smoke shows type shit.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I kind of just carry that vibe myself, like from my own personality. So I love listening to his music, but also he's one of few artists that isn't afraid to talk about mental health, but also does it in a way to where it's like relatable and not corny. You know what I mean? Because I feel like some people try to force it or like it would not. He just really just be expressing himself, and I feel like it's helped my songwriting in a lot of ways.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yes, I honestly, I really like those top three.
Yeah.
I really do like those top three. I feel like they all definitely are their self image.
Yes. And I will say, like, I will say, like, even though that's the three, I'm gonna sneak him in there though. I'm gonna sneak him in there. Earl Sweatshirt, yo, I love Earl, man. I fuck with Earl Sweatshirt.
Okay. Okay. My brother Isaiah is a big fan of him. I myself wasn't personally too into him. Myself, I was a big fan of J. Cole growing up. A Boogie, you know, those two were my ride or die. You ask my high school buddies back at OVA, you know, it was A Boogie and J. Cole. I'll go to bat for them any single day, right? But my brother, he was on a different time, you know, but he was a big fan of Earl Sweatshirt. You know, I was too late to grab on it, but I still haven't listened to any other stuff. You know, is it kind of similar to like the Isaiah Rashad, or is it?
You
I know
know
it
what?
has a different sound for sure.
Yeah, definitely different sound for sure. I would say if I could, I don't even know who I would compare Earl to, but if I could describe his style, I would say like very introspective, um, sometimes sometimes dark, but like really like out of all the artists that we mentioned, I feel like his songwriting is the most like poetry.
Mm.
Like his shit's like you could like obviously you can listen to it and like enjoy it, but also I feel like a lot of his raps like you can like literally just read them for what they are and it'll like reach you. Like I don't know. He's a really good songwriter, and I'd say like a lot of the way I approach writing my verses is directly like influenced by him for sure.
Mm. Mm. So, kind of taking back off that, if you were to collab with one person ever, would it be somebody you just mentioned those top three, or is it somebody you know you admired that didn't make the top three, or is it like one of your co-workers, you know, one of your friends who are doing the same thing that you're doing, have this who is trying to do the same thing that you do, you know, what's one artist that you would want to collab with?
You know what's crazy, bro? I was just about to say I don't know, but I think I know, and it's not somebody from that list. It's not somebody from that list.
Oh, for real?
Um, and like this person's also a producer. Like I primarily want to work. I want to do something over one of his beats. But like,
Okay.
if it's a song, like I'll do it. That nigga Pierre Bourne, man.
Okay.
That nigga's nice. That's like my favorite producer.
Ever?
I think. I mean, like, yeah, like he's like obviously like I know he like objectively like there's probably like people that are better, but I don't know like his something about his instrumentals, man. They take me back to like when I was a kid, bro. Like he be choosing like them like Nintendo ass like video game sound, bro. Like that should just be hitting, bro. Like, like
It was he an impact on how you guys started producing beats?
100%. Like not even maybe not necessarily the start, but I remember once like he came out and got really big with Cardi, bro.
Mm.
Like my I would say like my production style didn't significantly change, but even just like incorporating like for example, I remember when he first came out, he used flutes a lot, and I never heard of like a lot of beats that use flutes. I started using that shit, and I'd say even if I was making beats now, like that's probably like my favorite instrument to use for that.
The flute?
Honestly. It's really easy to make melodies like with that, like just
Okay.
it's a catchy melody with flutes, and I'd say in general, yeah, honestly, he's definitely probably like the most influential producer that I had at the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, nice. So is that? Oh, I mean, over the course of the years and over the course of everybody who you listened to, everybody you came in contact with, how did you find your own sound? What was the process of building your
Mm.
own sound?
You know what? I think it's an everlasting and ever changing process. I still feel like I'm figuring it out now too. I
Mm,
feel like when I first started off, as far as like the process of building it,
yeah,
you know, and I encourage anybody too that's thinking about making music, like, while you're early on, like it's not like you have any expectations yet as you're like, what I mean? Once you have like your fan base established, and it's like, all right, fine, cool. You should probably have your own sound. But starting off, it's good to experiment just to see like what you like and what you sound good over, you know?
yes,
And
yeah,
I would say that yeah, like, early on I experimented a lot. I still do experiment a lot. And I'd say even right now, primarily one of my main goals is really like fine tuning and figuring out, okay, like what signature style do I want to have? Because there's a lot of
mhm,
styles that I do that I know work well, that I'm good at, but I haven't really picked like a lane that I'm like, all right, this is like my main go-to, and then dabble in the others. But with all of that being said, though, I think one of the main ways of figuring that out is like thinking about what artists you like, what artists are your favorite, but then not necessarily like mimicking them, but like kind of like taking the pieces that you like from each and like adapting them to your sound. So like
yes,
with the names that we mentioned, I know like again Earl Sweatshirt. I like the way he goes about his songwriting, so I adapt that.
hmm
But then with Zay, like Isaiah Rashad, I like his melodies, but also just like I don't know, like I don't even know how to describe it with him, but he just knows how to bring like a chill aesthetic to his music
yeah,
that's very consistent. And then like with Kendrick, it's the themes. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
obviously like a lot of his albums have like really deep ass topics. And
yeah,
it's not like a lot of my music, like I don't actively try to make like political music or like political statements, but just the idea of like, damn, like I want to make this song have like a deep ass concept. Like that's definitely heavy on some like Kendrick shit. So just taking pieces of your favorite artists and like not copying them, but figuring out like, okay, how to put it together.
yeah, yeah. And I love because you hinted on something, right? You said that you're still trying to find your sound.
Yeah.
And there's something that my dad he always says this when we're training jujitsu and kickboxing, and it's you are always finding your own style. Jujitsu is your own style. There's no right style to do in
Right.
jujitsu. All because you mastered a black belt in jujitsu doesn't mean you mastered every single technique. No, that's not what it means. It means you mastered your own style.
Exactly. And also too, the style, like, and I'm sure it's probably the same with jiu-jitsu. Like you don't have to stay stuck on a style too. If you
Yeah.
find the style that you think is yours and maybe you've mastered it or you outgrow it, you can change it, or you can like tweak it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and I feel like some people get themselves stuck in a box where they're like, ah, damn, like, my fans only like when I do this. Like I just gotta
Mm.
keep doing this. But in their heart, they know they don't want to do that.
Yes.
And then it starts to reflect in the music because you can feel when an artist is just making shit just for the sake of making some shit.
Mm.
You know. I will say on that note, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna turn the lights on. Hold on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. But he did hint on it, and it's always true. I feel like as you go through life, you are always experiencing new obstacles that are gonna affect the way you view life, and then you're gonna change your style. You're gonna change the way you do things. You're gonna change your
Exactly.
habits on a day-to-day basis. That's what makes you you. That's what makes life life.
Exactly.
And every single day we have to get up with that same mentality. All right, I know life is going to throw something at me. I know there's something that's going to counteract the energy that I'm putting forth in this world that's going to stop me from getting to my goal, right? And that's where you just have to overcome that, right? It's tough. It's hard.
You can't. Yeah.
It's never easy. The hero's journey is never easy. Real life is never real life is not easy. It's not easy. It's meant to go. There's laws in place to go against you, but it's up to you to provide yourself with the knowledge to go law against law. and do your best to build your style, to build your brand, and to signify every single day on who you are. And that's one thing I feel like my man Oryah has been doing and has been striving to do. And I respect them wholeheartedly because like he said, he grew up in Brooklyn and then he came to Pennsylvania. He grew up in a school where that the color of his skin wasn't favored. Those are real life obstacles. Those are real life problems that people still face to this day. Sad to say it. People still face those obstacles to this day. But it's up to us to make those changes within ourselves first, and then change the community around us. And that's one thing I fully 100 respect about him. Respect about everybody who's on the podcast for the first episode. They're all doing the same thing, and that's what we're going to continue to provide on here. Is people who want to provide that same message across the world, and want people to signify who they really are. Come in contact with who you are as a person. But it takes hardship, it takes discomfort, it takes obstacles that you never thought that you'd be able to face before and overcome those. That's how you understand who you really are and the potential, the law of pure potentiality that you have within yourself.
Yeah, bro. And that's why too, man. That's why I say, bro, like, you have a great platform, man. And I would say that I encourage anybody that is watching live, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and follow this man, bro. Because you know what I mean? Like it's important to have platforms like that for people to express these things,
Yes. And going off of that, I know you have something big coming up, right? And we're gonna be the last topic because it's almost getting to that time, and I know we don't want to get off our live here because we're having a really good conversation.
This is a great convo,
man. And I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. I appreciate everybody in the comment section showing love. I appreciate you all. Make sure you love, make sure you comment, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, share this as well. All right, after this, all right, it will be live on YouTube. All right, there'll be an edited version on YouTube and Twitch and Instagram. All right, at Real Life Izzy. Make sure you go follow, like, subscribe. Make sure you go like, follow, and subscribe to my man's accounts as well. He has his channels on his Instagram. If you click it, he has all his platforms, his website, everything is right there. So make sure you go follow him and subscribe to everything he has. Make sure you go follow him on Spotify as well. Help my man get to 2K. Come on, let's keep boosting that up. All right, let's get him up there. But he has a big project coming up, and we're not going to get too much into it. We're not going to spill all the beans. But can you speak on your upcoming album, God Looked Away, and what are you most excited about this album? What's the biggest obstacle you face when creating this album?
Yo, so first of all, man, thank you so much for even the opportunity to talk about it, man. I've been working on, I'd say the project itself, it's been an idea since last year, but I started actively working on it this year. And I like to approach my projects like kind of like what we were talking about before, just like, even outside of expressing myself, like everything's a smaller piece to a bigger picture,
Yeah.
So with God Looked Away, at first I thought of the title first, right? Not even having like a concept in mind, I thought of the title. I was like, damn, that's hard. I don't know what it means, but that's hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I took the time to marinate on it, you know what I mean? And just really think about it. And I'm not gonna go into too much detail, like you said. I also got I got like a short story that I'm trying to attach with the project as well that might, touch on the themes more itself. But
okay. So is it a short story? It's like a trailer that's gonna drop before the album comes out?
Yes, yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
But I'd say, the title to me, it really kind of represents the idea of, there's the whole overarching idea. And mind you, I'm not like super religious. I consider myself agnostic. I believe in, something, like there's something there. I think everybody's personal beliefs are valid.
Yeah.
Maybe there isn't a God, like who knows? You know what I mean? I'm not the one to say that, but I don't deny it either. Who knows, right? But I know that in a lot of religions, there's the idea of, God always being with you, God following you, watching your path. You know what I mean? Things of that nature, especially if you're actively following, whatever beliefs that you believe.
There's some type of energy.
Exactly. Right. But then, I know that some people that do have, faith or go through faith, and I've dabbled in, different religions before in my past, and it's very common to have a wavering faith as far as like, like even outside of if you're not even believing it. Like for example, there's some people that may identify as being atheists, and they're like, oh, okay, well, if God's real, then why is there world hunger, or why did this tragic event happen?
Yeah.
And my project itself doesn't necessarily touch on it from a global scale at that standpoint, but just the idea of you know when God looks away, what happens, or what do you do?
Mm,
And
mm,
again, I myself am not actively practicing a religion, but I'd say that my project itself kind of follows that theme of what I've been living with and dealing with mainly like a lot of last year coming into this year. And at this point I have the track list done, short track list, less than 10 songs, so it's gonna be an easy listen. You know what I mean? You don't gotta, because I like long albums, not like I don't like long albums, but especially as an artist that's coming up, like if you're trying to put somebody onto some music, like let's just say I'm trying to put you onto an artist, right?
yeah.
And I'm like, I bet, yo, this person's mad dope and whatnot. Cool. Check out their new album. It's 18 songs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot, yo. Like, that's a lot for somebody that I'm not familiar with. So I like to think about that with other people too, how they view me. And it's like, all right, if somebody doesn't know me already, like, why would I try to sit here and try to sell them a 15 plus song project? You know what I mean? Especially too when I can like keep it concise, have my best songs on it, and make sure that okay, this is gonna be a nice, easy listen for them, and they're gonna finish it becoming a fan.
Mm.
So
I,
I'm keeping it short. That's
yeah,
kind of like the rough theme I'm going with it, and I'm really excited. I think that it's been a long time coming. I've been some of the songs are from last year as far as me writing them.
oh
Some of,
wow. So
yeah, some of them,
this song's from in the vault from a year ago.
yeah, man,
Oh
you know what I mean.
snap! Oh
So,
snap!
but it's I'd say it's a pretty great body of work. You know what I mean. I think it's my best put together release so far. And I'm really excited, bro. I think that there's a lot to take away from it. A lot of different styles too. Like each song obviously has its own kind of flavor to it. And I'm excited for God Looked Away and everything afterwards too, because I'm already, now that the songs themselves are finished, I'm getting ready for like the rollout. I'm
Okay.
already thinking about like the future shit. Like I already got a lot of other music that I'm like, damn, I need to record this ASAP, you know what I mean, and whatnot. But yeah, bro, that's what I'll say about the project as of now. I'm really excited, and I think that I won't disappoint, man. Not even think. I know I'm not going to disappoint. I know I'm not.
Well, first, I want to say congratulations on getting the track list completed. All right, that's a big accomplishment. And the final project will be out soon. So everybody tuning in, make sure you guys tune in, follow him on all his platforms. Make sure you guys tap in with my man Oryah. All right. There is one more thing that I do want to ask you about.
All right.
And I saw this, bro, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it had me asking questions because I wasn't 100% sure on why or who or what. Why would somebody do this? But mustard on pancakes, bro? Can't what?
Yo,
Right, bro?
yo,
What's
yo,
mustard on pancakes? I
yo.
what is that? Where did that come up from?
Yo, you're funny, bro. You're funny,
Oh,
bro.
bro, I swear I saw that. I was like, I've never seen nobody put mustard on a pancake before, ever. Like, ever, ever.
Yo, all I'm gonna say, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, bro. All I'm gonna say is, bro, be yourself. Be yourself.
yeah, y'all heard it. Y'all heard it here, right? Be yourself every single day, right? Remember the type of image you want to portray, the type of brand you want to have people view every single day you step out the house. All right? Remember that you yourself represent your temple, you represent your brand, and you represent everything that came before you and everything that's going to come after you. All right? So every day, strive to be the best version of you. Every single day is going to be real life obstacles, but it's up to you to make real life decisions to get over those real life obstacles. So make sure you guys do what you can and obtain the law of pure potentiality. That's my motto. Let's get to it. Once again, let's give a big round of applause for my man Oryah. All right, he came in, dropped some good information for everybody. I appreciate everybody who has tuned in. Thank you guys. Thank you again, Oryah. I appreciate you coming on this platform and dropping all the knowledge you have provided thus far. and I bless you for everything that you're going to continue to do and impact the lives that you're going to impact the years and years coming down the road. Because I know you have so much more in plan.
It's just the beginning.
I know there's so much more for you, and I can't wait to see you get to those heights, those levels, and just know that you have a band of brothers who are supporting you every single step of the way. And I want to have you back on the podcast again, hopefully in the year times from now, right? Follow back up with an update, see what you're up to now, see what you have accomplished, and see what new obstacles you have overcame. Because those never stop coming, because it's always real life. And you know what to do. It's been your boy, Real Life Izzy, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you. It's been episode 2 of the Real Life with Izzy podcast. One more big shout out with Oryah. Thank you, my man. Any last words that you have to say to the audience watching right now?
Bro, all I gotta say is, man, yo, thank you so much for having me on, bro. Again, I love what you're doing with the show, and a lot of what you said about me applies to you too, bro. Like, I'm excited to see how much this grows, bro. I'm loving everything that you're doing right now, and just the platform that you're providing. And again, like I said, bro, God Looked Away coming soon. Make sure you find me on all platforms, ORYAH, Oryah, some variation of that, all platforms. And
I'll make sure to tag his information as well in the comment section below. So make sure you guys make sure you guys follow, subscribe. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. And yeah, bro, I just, great conversation, bro. Great conversation.
Appreciate everybody that's tuned in to the Real Life with Izzy podcast. This was episode 2 with my man Oryah. And before we sign off, I'm going to do this every single time. So I want you guys to know I'm listening to you guys. Our biggest person in the comment section, our biggest interactive person was Brandon Coaxum. So thank you, Brandon, for tuning in. I appreciate you, my guy. I appreciate the love you've been showing, and I hope you obtain some knowledge from this podcast, whether it was from Oryah or myself. We want you to succeed. Everybody else, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And I'll see you next on episode 3 of Real Life Izzy, all right? It's been your boy, Izzy.
Peace.
Peace.